You ready to talk about Vandy and LSU? Let's do it, Will. LSU.
When you started off this by calling it Cake Week, I thought to myself, who is the cake in this game? And then I thought, I know the answer to that, don't I?
LSU is a 7.5 point favorite, though. So
That's barbecue chicken to Diego Pavia.
it might be. It might be. What's better, cake or the best type of barbecue chicken?
For me, barbecue chicken.
You're not a cake fan?
I like cake. I just, big barbecue chicken guy.
All right. I'm a big barbecue chicken guy. I still think cake has a higher ceiling. I think cake and ice, give me ice cream, like most times, 10 times out of 10. But the best piece of cake is going to be better than the best possible ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's
I see you. I'm a big protein guy.
Wow, that was a meathead thing to say. How about it? Let's go. Mm-hmm. Speaking of meatheads, this LSU team could use some meatheads. Will maybe they need Garrett Nussmeier to just have a little bit more, let's call it poise, because that has obviously been lacking the last 3 games. The over-under is 6.5 yards per pass attempt for Nuss. Last 3 games, that is what he is averaging. 7 turnovers in his last 10 quarters of football. 5 picks, 2 strip sacks, fumbles as well. Mm-hmm. He had 6 turnovers in his first 30 quarters to start the season and 7 turnovers in his last 10 quarters. Not great. Bad time for regression in that department, when that was the biggest question with Nussmeier, not just coming into this season, but really for the last 3 years.
Overall.
Yeah, always. Some of that is on him. Some of that's probably on these LSU pass catchers as well. Nobody's innocent at that high of a turnover rate. Okay, that's just not the case. When Vandy forces multiple turnovers this year, 3-1. Only loss when they forced multiple turnovers was a 3-point game against Texas. Can't turn the ball over and give Diego Pavia a short field. That's obvious. Diego Pavia was meant to play in Death Valley at night. Unfortunately, for us that would like to see peak Death Valley at night, the last 3 weeks have made me think we will not see peak Death Valley at night. I can't imagine this will be the most juiced up crowd that we have ever seen at LSU. I'm fascinated if Brian Kelly is going to make some bold decisions about benching star players after the way that he left things post Florida. Kind of hinted that could be in the cards. We'll see. All right. It's not an easy thing to do at this stage of the year, especially as you're trying to avoid a losing season, which is still on the table for LSU. As crazy as that sounds, this team could still go 6-7.
Maybe real quick, what's funny about that? I felt kind of bad for being critical of LSU's upperclassmen in the last pod, but then we had the famous players only meeting.
Losers.
Yeah, they agreed with me. They called a players only meeting. I'm vindicated. They didn't. They thought they were losers too. They said, you know what? Actually, this is time for us to take control of this team, and good for them. I agree with that mentality. That being said, Brian Kelly threatening to bench some underperforming upperclassmen. It's like, who's the guy, Harry Potter's cousin that they lived with, where they were like, okay,
Dursley.
no more cake. You've already had 6 pieces there. It's like, oh, wow, we're already at the end of year 3, and we're suddenly looking at benching guys that are old and not performing. Anyway.
Dudley.
Yep.
Dudleykins. Look, maybe he's just going to bench Caden Durham. Just take his anger out. It's like, hey, you're a freshman running back that's emerged in this offense. Go sit on the bench.
And Josh Williams had a drop last week because he was worried about you, son. So you need to go sit down.
Yeah, you're kind of shaking the dynamic of the room. I don't really like that. What you're doing here? You're like 19 years old. Let's just chill. I don't think he's going to do that, even with even with his dislocated toes. He did get 23 touches last week against Florida. But well, here's what I wonder about: how bad would it have to be for Brian Kelly to lose his mind and bench a healthy Garrett Nussmeier? How bad?
I mean, I think at this point, it gives you the best chance to win because the offense is so weird and anemic. Like, you bring in a backup quarterback and they can't run the ball, then what do? Somebody's going to have these 40 pass attempts,
3 first-half picks. Is that... I'm not saying this is imminent. I'm legitimately asking the question because I think there have been LSU fans that have wondered these last 3 games of what would it take, even if it's just a series, to sit him down. And he got taken out of the game for like 2 seconds because he got banged up at the very end. And AJ Swan comes in. AJ Swan, former team, revenge game. Brian Kelly is thinking, That's the juice I need to be able to battle back in this one. I saw A&M do it to my team. I'm going to do it to somebody else. Probably not.
I hate how much sense that makes because I was like, who do we I'm going to be honest, I forgot about Swan because I thought about Hurley. I thought about Ricky. No, it'd be
Bryce
Swan.
Underwood. Could Bryce Underwood play in this game?
Buddy, if Bryce Underwood could get to Baton Rouge one more time, that would be nice. They actually got eliminated from the playoffs, so I'm freaking out about that. Anyway, so point being, with Swat, I like those chances better because Swat is a veteran quarterback with starting chances. So to your point, you're so right. I thought we were preparing for the future after Nussmeier and starting him for another year, but with Swat in the cards, I think 3 picks. Like there's not like a Carson Beck situation here where it's like, oh, just ride this out. We got a great defense. Like,
I have not sold my AJ Swan stock. I'm still kind of a believer. There's some meat on the bone with him. Maybe it'll be at LSU, maybe it won't. But Will, I'm calling for a Vandy upset. I'm doing it.
Yeah,
I'm doing it. I'm gonna say Diego Pavia looks fresher than ever coming off of the bye week. He completes 60% of his passes for the first time since the Kentucky win. Vandy is just the team that wants it more. This stage of the season, sometimes you see that play out, and it can be very evident with these teams that don't have these expectations that they thought they were going to have at this point. I think things go from bad to worse for Brian Kelly at LSU. Clark Lee locks in a win, locks in SEC Coach of the Year honors by beating Bama and LSU in the same season.
So LSU. Let me see here. Of course. Why would the SEC not have? Okay, here we go. So it's the classic like two guys laughing at each other meme where it's like, okay, Alabama lost to Vandy, but if Vandy beats LSU, they're going to finish ahead of LSU in SEC play likely. So that's like pretty crazy. This isn't even an emotional hedge. I think Vandy is a better football team than LSU right now. I think that a 7.5-point spread for Diego Pavia, who's been awesome in as an underdog. Am I gonna once again hang on, nebulous hope of maybe things will change, maybe the players only meeting will do it? I mean, from a talent standpoint, technically from a coaching standpoint, LSU should be the better team. But it all gets, whenever you have a quarterback like Pavia who's been the right amount of confident versus a quarterback that has never been confident, but has been too confident at times in Garrett Nussmeier, I think that's kind of like a problem. And to your point about the environment, like if you're an LSU fan and you brave the Alabama game, last weekend, or like weekend before, like why would you show up to this game to potentially watch your team lose to Vandy? So probably going to be not a great Tiger Stadium. You know what I'm saying? Like to your point, and they shouldn't need that against Vandy at any capacity when you think about like the athletic restrictions and the commitment to football and stuff like that. So I'm not going to go the crowd, blame the crowd. Nah, I get it to some degree, and LSU fans can be a little bit spoiled when it comes to like. I feel like sometimes it's like you guys don't understand how bad we looked for like most of the 2010s. So like whenever bad things happen now because of Twitter, people are like, we gotta fire everybody. It's like, guys, we hung out with Les Miles for like 8 extra years. Anyway, so point being, like, I think this season's pretty effectively over for LSU. There's not too much that could happen. So to that point, when you have one team that has a ton to play for and one team without anything to play for, other than like Bryce Underwood's kind of the main thing LSU's playing for at this point, which is
that's sad.
I mean,
really
yeah,
sad, man.
And to be clear, that's why they are not going to fire Joe Sloan. Now, if they lose Bryce Underwood, then you start looking at Joe Sloan. So weirdly, it's like Joe Sloan's coaching for his job, not even against – it's losing the game would shake up the Bryce Underwood situation, which could then lose him his job. So he needs – like that's his motivation.
If there wasn't the Bryce Underwood elements to this, and if you were just told as an LSU fan, you could watch this game and then swap coordinators for the next year and get Tim Beck, would you do it?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I really like. We see what he can do, with a mobile quarterback and those. I mean, they can run the ball. No, I would take them. And just to like put a bow on this whole thing, what LSU struggled with is mobile quarterbacks. It's what Diego Pavia is. It's just They struggled last week with the mobile quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the Diego Pavia is certainly better than Lagway. I would argue he's better than
as a mobile quarterback. As a mobile quarterback, I think different when you're talking about throwing the football. Different elements of.
I think
of what
he's better
they do.
as a quarterback. I mean, look what he's done as a starter. Like I get that there's some almost wins there, but like the difference is the fourth down play against Alabama versus the one against Tennessee with Lagway, and I think with Hurts or not Hurts, Milroe. I think that objectively this year he's been a better quarterback than Milroe for the entire year. He won the head-to-head game. Like Milroe had the bad turnovers in that game. So like that's the thing. This is the best quarterback LSU's seen. He's been the best quarterback in the SEC for most of the year. Yeah, they beat Jackson Dart, totally different ball game now. So, yeah, I think that's the thing. This team does well what LSU does poorly at. And on the other side of the ball, I mean, yeah, you need your offense to really ball out. And I don't know what we've seen that makes us feel that way when we have one pretty decent receiver. Brian Kelly's yelling at the other two. It's just a mess. It's a situation that LSU needed to be an offense first team with Blake Baker, and their offense doesn't have the gumption and leadership to stay on the field. Well, they did against Florida. But anyway, you get it. I'm picking Vandy in like a 3-point loss that will make me wish I was at not a pumpkin patch because it's a little late in the year, but like a nice campfire.
We're at Christmas tree season, just about.
I should do that this weekend. That would cheer me up.
Be a good time to do it for LSU football fans. Get in early. Get your pick of the litter. If you do the real tree, this is kind of those like local stores are just popping up right now. What do you think Diego Pavia would do if you gave him an apparatus telling him you can't be mobile this game? Would he shed it like Forrest Gump? Because I think he would.
I think he would take it off in the free play and just kind of throw it loosely at the defense.
I don't think he'd throw it at the defense.
No, but not at someone, but just in the second level, just to make them all go, huh?
Yeah.
And then have them go, what? And then he snaps the ball.
Yeah. Be a good plan. Wow. I'm surprised we're both calling for the Vandy upset. Could be very, very interesting times on the Bayou.